Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's class at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple. It's live stream from home, and these classes are given as an incentive for the devotees of Sydney to do some extra reading or talk about their reading. So tonight I bring to you the prayers of the wives of Sri Krishna Kaliya and Sri Kaliya Nag. And as you can see, just behind me, we have got a deity of Krishna Kaliya that was established by Srila Prabhupada in Fiji, where I'm born. So let's have a look if you can see that the deity. So I've grown up with the stories of Kaliya Nag, which I'm hoping to impart some of it to you. So let's all begin with a little bit of a kirtan, small one, without the kartals, and then we can start. So, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanuchari Yamuna Tira Vanuchari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radha Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. So Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Astotra Satasri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, यमुना माई की जय, श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, निताई गौ प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So, we are, as mentioned before, we are going to be speaking about the prayers of the wives of Kaliya serpent, the Naga Patnis, and we are going to be referencing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 16, and the texts go from 33 to 53. So I'll try to cover 10 shlokas today, and then we will have a continuation of this class in the next day, so tomorrow. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay, so this relates to the pastime of Sri Krishna subduing the serpent called Kaliya, and the story goes that Kaliya was he was a serpent with 1,000 hoods. Out of those 1,000 hoods, 101 hoods were prominent. And what happened was there was poison coming out of every single one of those hoods, and it was polluting the waters. And now where Kaliya was residing was in Vrindavan, where Krishna and his gopas and gopis and his whole family, friends, relatives were residing. And he wasn't really living in the actual Yamuna river, but it was adjoining Yamuna river. There was a huge lake, and he was residing in there. I've got a description here. Please bear with me. I'm referring to my iPad, and so it's going to be a little bit slower than normal. But the lake that Kaliya was residing in, it was quite wide, and it was 8 miles across, and even the demigods couldn't cross over it because the lake was very deep and immovable depths, like the ocean actually. So it was extremely deep, and it could not be agitated. Approaching the lake was difficult, and its shores was covered with holes. So the shores of the lake was covered with holes with all the serpents, different kinds of varieties of serpents living in there, and they were all breathing out poison. And all around the lake was a fog generated by the fire of the serpent's poison. So it was very smoky and foggy, and and this poison was so powerful that it would not even no vegetations would grow there, no blades of grass. Any animals would come within miles of it would die. Birds couldn't fly over it. Birds would die. So for a distance of 8 miles around the lake, the atmosphere was most unpleasant. So you can imagine the kind of pollution and the life that was dying there. So Krishna decided, since he had appeared in the yuga as he descended from the spiritual world to subdue envious demons, the Lord Krishna decided to remove the poison from that area, from the lake, and he decided that he's going to subdue Kaliya Nag. So let me just go back a little bit and give you a little bit of background. So what he did, what Krishna did was, because he decided that he was going to what's the actual he had decided that he was going to clean up the Yamuna River, clean it up. And what he did was, he decided there was a Kadamba tree. There was a Kadamba tree just nearby the lake. So now we've just mentioned that no vegetation or no plants would grow around the lake. So how come there was a Kadamba tree still living near the lake? And the story goes that the acharyas say that the Garuda, who is the carrier of Lord Vishnu, had expected this pastime, and he had expected this pastime to happen. And what he did to the tree was he implanted some items in some kind of ingredient to keep the tree alive. And so that tree was waiting for Lord Krishna's pastime. And what happened was, Krishna decided to climb that Kadamba tree, and before climbing the Kadamba tree, he tightened his belt. So actually, I had a vision of that once in my dream, since I come from Kaliya Dham, Krishna Kaliya Dham. I had seen Krishna jump in the lake, and before he jumped into the lake, I saw him tighten his belt, his kamarband, very firmly. Very firmly, he tightened it, and then he took a leap into the lake very confidently, while there were people screaming around the lake, including myself. The scream and the concern for Krishna jumping in the lake, Kaliya's lake, was so intense that your soul would basically leave your body. That was how the residents of Vrindavan felt when Krishna jumped into the lake, Kaliya's lake. Some acharyas say that Krishna even tied the locks, his hair. So he's, as we know, he's an meticulous dresser. So he jumped. When he jumped into the lake, there was such a loud splash and a huge splash, as if there's something really heavy that fell in the ocean, that the waves of the lake, it overflowed. It overflowed the lake and went onto the shores. So you can imagine the weight, the actual size of Krishna, how he portrayed that when he jumped into the lake, and that was enough to disturb Kaliya the serpent with his 1,000 hoods and then 101 prominent hoods, and then Krishna decided to play in the water. Just like a playful elephant. And they say that the acharyas say that when he was playing in the water, he made these waves in a very musical sound. So Kaliya the Nag could understand that someone had entered the territory of the lake, but also someone who's not even afraid. So he became very angry, and he decided to come and attack. So immediately he saw Krishna, and he saw Krishna, and he wrapped Krishna around his coils. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a tail there. but he had a very strong coils, and he wrapped it around Krishna and tried to squeeze the life out of Krishna. And as you know, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, so nothing will happen to him. And what happened was, apparently, he was in the coils of Kaliya for 2 hours. So within these 2 hours, a lot of things happened. There were some bad omens, that the earth was trembling, the stars were breaking, and there's like an earthquake, and all these bad omen signs were there. And the residents of Vrindavan, who were not present with Krishna at the lake, they could understand something had happened. And Yashoda Mai and Nand Maharaj thought, oh, Krishna has gone to the lake today without Lord Balram to protect him, and so something really ominous is going to happen. And Yashoda Mai quickly ran. If they followed Krishna's footsteps, basically, to see where these footsteps were leading. And on this particular day, the footsteps were leading near Kaliya's lake, which normally they don't. He normally never went there. So the elder gopis went there, Nanda Maharaj went there, they all went running, and the gopis went there, and they were basically, as soon as they were so distressed that they almost like left their bodies, their lives. And Yashoda Mai, when she saw Krishna in the coils of Kaliya, she fainted immediately. She fainted. And not only the residents of Vrindavan, but the birds and the cows, the animals, they were all stunned. They loved Krishna so much that they were all like frozen, and as if their life years had gone. So Krishna put the residents in such turmoil. It was impossible for them to stay alive. And so what some of the residents did was that they thought, let me go into the lake and save Krishna. So they decided to actually enter the lake. Now the lake is poisonous, and at that time Lord Balram came to the rescue and decided to hold them and not let them go into the water, because Lord Balram knew that it's Krishna and nothing can actually happen to Krishna. So Balram was actually smiling and reassuring the residents of Rajadam not to be so concerned. And he was, in fact, he pulled them out of the water, so many of them. So, but that was not a consolation for the Vrajvasis. So, because it was 2 hours that Lord Krishna was in the coils of Kaliya, and it was a very frightening sight, actually. It is said that Srimati Radharani was not present at that time because she would not have been able to see it. So because the sight of one snake is so scary, so imagine the sight of a serpent that big with so many hoods and so poisonous and ferocious was there. So and Krishna was in the grips of it. Basically, snakes are born envious, because that's their nature. Just like mosquitoes, they bite. Scorpions sting, dogs bark. So snakes' nature is to be envious and bite, and they are very, very angry. Snakes are angry by nature. So they will be angry all the time. Whoever comes there, they will attack out of anger, out of envy. That's their nature. So Srimati Radharani would be able to see that. So they say that she wasn't present. The mural that I saw, there's a painting outside Krishna Kaliya temple in Fiji. All the residents are there. Krishna is in the grips of Kaliya, and basically not in the grips. He was actually on the hoods and standing and dancing. But there was no Radharani. There was no Srimati Radharani there. There was Lord Balram in the picture that you'll see, and he was smiling. So anyway, Lord Krishna saw that it's been 2 hours and the residents are practically dying. So he decided, okay, let me not put the residents in any more trouble and any more distress. So he decided, okay, let me give them some consolation that I'm fine. So what Krishna did is he expanded his form, and Kaliya could not hold Krishna in his grips because the form of Krishna was expanding. So the coils around Krishna could not hold him. So the coils of the snake just loosened, and Krishna jumped up. And then he jumped up and he decided to do a dance on all the hoods of Kaliya Nag. And he danced on each one of the hoods, and he broke the hoods. And he danced with such weight that he was, from every hood, he was vomiting. Kaliya Nag was vomiting blood, and all the poison was spewing out. And it is said that in the past times, in Vrajdham, he danced on the snake, the hoods of the snake by himself. But in the actual Golokha, Vrindavan, where this pastime also takes place, he dances on the hoods, but he decides to grab the gopis on the hoods of Kaliya Nag. So it's not just Krishna who's doing the dance, and the dance is described as amazingly beautiful, and more beautiful than the dance of Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi. Very artistically danced, and in the Golokha Vrindavan, he's dancing with the gopis on top of the hoods. I mean, just imagine the sight. That would be so beautiful to look at. Anyway, so in this particular Vrajdham Vrindavan Leela, he is dancing by himself, and while he's dancing, his footprints are falling on top of the hood of the snake, and the imprints that he makes are permanent, basically permanent. And he dances so ferociously and heavily that Kaliya Nag is defeated, and he is about to die. He is about to die, and at that time, Kaliya Nag decides to take shelter of Krishna, and he apologizes to Krishna, and he says these prayers that you are the supreme personality of Godhead, and I bow down to you and I offer my obeisances to you. Please forgive me, and it is actually in my nature. Actually, Kaliya Nag, while he was attacking Krishna, he was attacking Krishna, it is said, with bhakti, because Krishna's form was so beautiful that even a snake was attracted and devoted to Krishna. And in his devotion, he did what a snake does, is attack, but it was all with devotional love. So it is kind of hard to come to grips with how can you be devoted and you love and then you attack and then you try to kill. But that was Kaliya Nag's offering to Krishna. He was making an offering while he was attacking Lord Krishna. He was so, he was terrible, but he was a devotee. He was turning into a devotee while this was all happening. So by the end of his demise, he became a devotee of Lord Krishna. So what happened is then obviously Kaliya Nag has wives, and his wives were what do you call it, were actually not in favor of their husband being such an atheist, because before the Kaliya Nag was not able to believe that Krishna was God, and he did not worship him as the supreme personality of Godhead. And here, when the wives thought at that time is let Krishna kill him. Our husband is an atheist. He doesn't believe that Krishna is God, so let Krishna kill him. They were actually all for it, which is kind of, for a wife, is strange. But then the wives see that he has taken shelter of Lord Krishna, and they're so so astounded and amazed. They said, now our husband has become a Vaishnava. Our husband Kaliya Nag has become a Vaishnava. So, and as you know, the wives or the Nagapatnis, they were Vaishnavis. They were they're pure devotees of the Lord, and they worshipped Lord Krishna with their hearts and their souls. So now they decided, okay, let's. They had persuaded Kaliya Nag so many times to take shelter of Lord Krishna, but he never had. But in this particular instance, when he had taken shelter, then they decided, okay, let us pray to Lord Krishna, because now our husband has become a Vaishnava. We can now live with him, and so as a wife, we should obey Krishna to save his life. So this particular class is about the prayers, the beautiful prayers that the Kaliya Nag's wives pray to Krishna, offer to Krishna, and what they say. So some of it I will read directly from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this the story was that they actually had children also, so they put their children aside. And Krishna, being so kind to ladies, you might be able to see in the picture behind me, the hands of the Nagpatnis. There's one there, and there's one there, and their hands are like this in prayer to Krishna. And so this particular pastime Srila Prabhupada was particularly interested in, and the reason is because after listening to the wives of Kaliya Nag, Lord Krishna decided to spare the life of Kaliya Nag. He decided, okay, I'm not going to kill Kaliya Nag. And what he did was, his instructions to Kaliya Nag was, go to Ramanik Dweep, which is the ocean of beautiful waters, and go and reside there. Take your wives with you and go and reside there. Now, Ramanik Deep and Ramanik Desh happens to be present in this day and age. And Ramanik Desh and Ramanik Dweep is actually Fiji Islands, where I'm born. And when Srila Prabhupada visited Fiji in the early 1970s, would have been 75 or 76, I believe it was 75. And for the first time, he came and he asked, are there any snakes in Fiji? And the residents over there said, no, Srila Prabhupada, actually they used to call him Guruji in Fiji in those early days, and said, no, there are no snakes here. And so Srila Prabhupada thought for a while, and then he thought, okay, then if there are no snakes in Fiji, then Kaliya Nag must be here. So then he said there should be a temple built in Fiji. Now, Krishna conscious movement had not started in Fiji. There was no Hare Krishna temple at that time. So the plan was, he got together with this great devotees from the Punja's family, and they obeyed Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and they built Sri Krishna Kaliya temple in Fiji, Lotoka, Fiji. I'm born like minutes from the dham where the temple has been constructed, and I'll show you the photo again of Krishna Kaliya, if I can. This is the deity. That's Kaliya, and he is standing on the hoods of Kaliya Nag, and he is holding the tail of Kaliya Nag up there, and he's by himself. So this is the first deity of Krishna, the Hare Krishna temple, where there is no Srimati Radharani. There's just Lord Krishna. We do have 3 altars. So there is an altar on the side of Radha Govindji, Lalita Vishakha. So Radharani is there. But on this main deity of the temple, there is no Radharani. And on the other side is Shri Gauranitai. So that was Srila Prabhupada's intentions, was to get these deities installed according to the pastime. So we have one of Lord Krishna's pastime still alive. Now the serpent is very much alive and present in Fiji. That is another thing that I wanted to share with you. The native Fijians who are native to the land, like Aborigines here in Australia, they worship a snake god because they have sighted a snake god so many times. And our sannyasis, when they visit Fiji, they actually go to the place where it is said that the snake god resides, which is Kaliya Nag, obviously. And they call him Kavanra. Actually, Kaliya's name has got different names, and the Fijians have cited him, but they say that whoever sees Kaliya Nag face to face, they basically go crazy. So they can't really hold their mind stable. They go mad. And it is also said that because it's a snake, a serpent, one of those rare snakes which has got the jewel on top of the forehead. So the jewels are so big that night becomes day. So it just becomes like you are in the middle of the ocean and it's dark and it's nighttime, but suddenly the sun comes out in the middle of the night. So that's how bright his jewels are, which they call in Hindi money. So that is another proof that it's Kaliya Nag there. But it's also known that Kaliya Nag actually takes the form of a human. So he has the ability to take the form of a human being, and come out of the ocean. There is an incident in Fiji that happened. They During the military coup, some native Fijians from their village decided to attack our Hare Krishna temple, Krishna Kaliya temple, and they made some homemade bombs and they bombed the temple. So there was fire, and so there was some damage. The deities were fine, but what happened was, well, the temple got saved. But what happened was, uh, within the next day or two, the tribal chief of that village had a dream. Kaliya Nag said, if you attack my temple or my devotees again, I will kill your entire village. So Kaliya Nag has become a devotee, and is there protecting Fiji and the devotees of Fiji. And what happened is, within the 2 years of bombing the temple, the people who had actually done it, the few people that could have been about half a dozen, they died of unexplained causes. So within 2 years, they all died. So Kaliya Nag is there, and it is a very wonderful pastime of Krishna, who is still present. And the reason he's there, well, actually, the reason he was in Yamuna was because of the curse that Garuda was his arch enemy, and Garuda eats snakes. So Garuda, who is the carrier of Lord Vishnu, wanted to eat Kaliya Nag. And what happened is, it was like this, that Yamuna, near Yamuna, Kaliya Nag could not be attacked. So that's why he was residing there, to save himself from Garuda. So when Krishna actually forgave him and saved his life due to the prayers of Nagapantis, Patnis, Kaliya Nag said, how am I going to protect myself from Garuda, your bird? Because this is the only place he can't eat me, but everywhere else he can. So Lord Krishna said, because I have danced on the hood, your hood, it'll have my footprints imbibed on it, impressed on it. So when Garuda sees this, he will not eat you. So that is why Garuda doesn't eat him, but he was told to go and live in the beautiful waters, Ramnik Desh, and Fiji is world's Fiji has the world's most beautiful waters, and it is a very nice, beautiful country, like Hawaii. So it's it's like a paradise, and Kaliya Nag resides there. And I'm very fortunate that I am born there, and whoever comes there and darshans this particular temple is reminded of Lord Krishna's pastimes, one that's still living and one that's still present, and that is amazing, an amazing thing. So I believe we've got about 10 minutes. What I'm going to do is read a few of those of the prayers. And what the Kaliya Nag's wives, how they prayed to Krishna, what they said to Krishna, that how they described Krishna, that melted Krishna's heart and made Krishna forgive Kaliya Nag. So I'll read. The wives of Kaliya Sepan said, the punishment this offender has been subjected to is certainly just. After all, you have incarnated within this world to curb down envious and cruel persons. You are so impartial that you look equally upon your enemies and your own sons. And when you impose a punishment on a living being, you know it to be for his ultimate benefit. So they actually, this has been the first instance the wives of someone is actually praising the killer of their husband. Or the supposed killer of their husband. They're saying you're doing the right thing. So they continue. They say, what you have done here is actually mercy for us. And since the punishment you give to the wicked certainly drives away all their contamination. Indeed, because of this conditioned soul, our husband is so sinful that he has assumed the body of a serpent. Your anger towards him is obviously to be understood as your mercy. So it is actually a fact that if Krishna is angry with you, it is his mercy. If Krishna is happy with you, it is his mercy. There's no difference between the two, actually. Although you wouldn't want him to be angry with you, I wouldn't want to be. But since his mercy, it is equally benevolent. Whether he's angry with you or he's happy with you, it's considered the same. So um, Srila Madhavacharya points out in this connection that when a pious person suffers in this world, he realizes the punishment the Supreme Lord is meting out to me actually is his causeless mercy. So if anyone out there is suffering and is happens to be a devotee of Lord Krishna, um, it is a good idea to try to understand that they are suffering as a mercy, as a benefit. It brings you closer to Lord Krishna. In the sense that you will pray to him with all your heart, and Krishna listens to those prayers which are made sincerely from the heart. He listens to those prayers the most. And Krishna will say, oh, this is my dear devotee, he is suffering so much, he personally takes care of you. And taking care of that devotee personally is the highest of mercy. So the devotee who is suffering waits for that, and he understands that the arrangement of his suffering is directly connected to Lord Krishna. Envious persons, however, even after being punished by the Lord for their purification, they continue to envy him and be resentful. And this attitude is the reason for their continued failure to understand the absolute truth. So there are many instances where people are saying, oh, why is the world suffering? Why are we suffering? And there is no God, because if there was God, then there would be no suffering. And they need to be in that sense, respect, to be enlightened, and they need to understand that it is all God's plan to purify the soul, to make them better people, so that all the anarthas, all the sins, all the bad things that are accumulated in their heart gets wiped away, and they become humble, and they develop good qualities like patience, tolerance, love, kindness. These are all qualities that are required for us to have in order to go back to Godhead. It is not said that there are no envious people in the kingdom of Lord Krishna. They're not genuinely, they're not evil people. There are no evil people in Lord Krishna's abode. So before we go there, we need to remove all those qualities, and that's why there are arrangements made that removes all these bad qualities within us, and then we get purified, and then we chant the Lord's names, and then we are qualified to reach Lord Krishna. We actually realize our spiritual bodies, and we realize our relationship with Lord Krishna. So the suffering is there for a reason. And when we devotees see somebody suffering, we feel compassion for them. But at the same time, we understand that Krishna is behind it. So continuing from there, they say, the Nagpatnis say, did our husband carefully perform austerities in a previous life, with his mind free of pride and full of respect for others? Is that why you are pleased with him? Or did he, in some previous existence, carefully execute religious duties with compassion for all living beings? And is that why you, the life of all living beings, are now satisfied with him? So the Nagapatnis are actually asking, what did our husband do? Because in this life, he didn't do anything good. He's been killing living entities. He's been poisonous. He's been really angry. So what did he actually do to deserve this mercy that you are dancing on him? I mean, imagine Lord Krishna touching you, let alone dance on your top of your head or dance with you. It's very, very rare for somebody to do that. So many people, so many devotees have performed austerities life after life after life and still haven't gotten there. So the wives are saying, what did our husband do to deserve this beautiful mercy? In this regard, Srila Prabhupada comments in his Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chapter 16, the Naga Patnis confirm that one cannot come into contact with Krishna without having executed pious activities. That's correct. So you need to have pious activities behind you. You need to have piety. Otherwise, Krishna is not coming anywhere near you. So what devotees do is they chant, they practice their sadhana, they do devotional service. They are at this while they're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they are accumulating pious deeds. But at the same time, the pious deed comes with kindness too. So say that someone hasn't done enough chanting, but has been kind all their life to all the living entities, to anyone alike. That person is quite pious. Krishna is with them. Because Krishna knows in their heart they have no envy and they are kind people. And when these devotees, they get into trouble, Krishna is personally present to save them, to protect them, so that no harm comes to them. So there's a lesson there right now. We should be kind. We should be kind to everyone, even though we don't like them, or even they might have done something that is not so acceptable, but kindness goes a long way, and it is certainly accepted by Krishna. Kindness goes hand in hand with love. You can only be kind to people or animals or living entities if you have love for them, you care about them. So caring and loving accumulates pious activities. And we as devotees are in a learning curve, so we are learning how to be pious and caring. So as Lord Chaitanya advises in his Shastaka, one has to execute devotional service by humbly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street and not expecting honor for oneself, but offering all kinds of honor to others. And although Nagpatnis were astonished that although Kaliya had a body of a serpent, and the result was grievous sinful activities, at the same time he was in contact with the Lord. So how could this be possible? To the extent that the Lord's lotus feet were touching his hoods. Certainly this was not ordinary, and it astonished them. They were very surprised. So they said, their prayer continues. They say, "Oh Lord, we do not know how the serpent Kaliya has attained the great opportunity of being touched by the dust of your lotus feet. For this end, the goddess of fortune performed austerities for centuries, giving up all other desires, taking austere vows. And those who have attained the dust of your lotus feet never hanker for the kingship of heaven, limitless sovereignty, the position of Brahma, or the rulership over the earth. They're not interested even in perfections of yoga or liberation itself." That's correct. Lakshmi Devi had performed austerities. Actually, this morning I was listening to Gurudev's class, that she had performed austerities to be in the rasa dance. To experience the conjugal ras with Krishna like a gopi, and even doing after so many austerities for so long, when Krishna finally asked her, what is it that you are doing this, performing this austerities for? What do you want? She said, "I want to be like a gopi and I want to enjoy the ras with you." And Krishna said, "No." Krishna said no. So even Lakshmi Devi couldn't get such the touch that she wanted, that the gopis were enjoying, that Kaliya Nag is enjoying. Even Lakshmi Devi couldn't get it, and she has been serving at the feet of Lord Vishnu forever, eternally. So her austerities is unlimited. So then what to speak of? What did Kaliya Nag do to get this benefit, this mercy? That is what the Nag Patnis were asking. Anyway, Lord Krishna was a little bit lenient, with Lakshmi Devi, because then she said, "Let me be present. If you can't give me the austerities of a gopi, then let me be present on your chest in the form of a line, so a straight line, like a straight." I guess a line. In one of the deities, when I do dressing, I have seen sometimes Lord Krishna's deity. It does have a golden line, which represents Lakshmi Devi. So that that's Lakshmi Devi. So how come Kalyanag what did he do to get Lord Krishna's touch? Um, they say, "Oh Lord, although this Kaliya, the king of serpents, has taken birth in the mode of ignorance and is controlled by anger, he has achieved that which is difficult for others to achieve. Embodied souls who are full of desires and are thus wandering in the cycle of birth and death can have all the benefictions manifested before their eyes simply by receiving the dust of your lotus feet." Prabhupada mentions it is very rare for a conditioned soul to be free, to free himself from the contamination of illusion and thus establish in perfect consciousness of the absolute truth. Very difficult. And we are conditioned souls, so it will be very difficult for us to achieve such a thing. That is why Srila Prabhupada came and said, chant Hare Krishna. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra will get you there. Because the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will cleanse you of all envious qualities or all negative qualities. It clears your heart, and you become purified so much so that you can reach Krishna, and you can become perfect, and you can become perfect in this life. That is what I have heard over and over in Srila Prabhupada's class, in Gurudev's class, now other Acharyas' classes, that it is possible to achieve that in this life if we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada continues, it says, although we conditioned souls may not receive the mercy of having the Lord dance on our head, we can receive the dust of the lotus feet of the Absolute by the Lord's representative and the bona fide spiritual master, and thus go back home back to Godhead, however freed from the misery and ignorance of the mundane universe. So our spiritual masters are no ordinary souls. They have the dust of Lord Krishna's feet. So they can impart that to us. So whenever you see Gurudev or the spiritual master, fall at his feet. If his feet are washed, drink it, because you don't know what is in there. That is so important. So we offer our obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although present in the hearts of all living beings as the Super Soul, you are all pervasive. Although the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to their creation. And although the cause of everything, you are transcendental to all material cause and effect, and being the Supreme Soul. So the beautiful Sanskrit poetry of this verse should be chanted out loud for the transcendental pleasure of the reciter and the hearer. So let me go back and read this. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavashaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Let me repeat that. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavashaya Bhutaya Paraya Paratmane. Now, the translation, we offer our obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although present in the hearts of all living beings as a super soul, you are all pervasive. Although the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to their creation. And although the cause of everything, you are transcendental to all material cause and effect, being the Supreme Soul. Then it continues to text 10, 16, 40. Obeisances unto you, the absolute truth, who are the reservoir of all transcendental consciousness. Of all transcendental consciousness, potency, and the possessor of unlimited energies. Although completely free of material qualities and transformations, you are the prime mover of material nature. Those who consider themselves intellectual, philosophical, or rational should carefully note that here that the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, is the ocean of knowledge and consciousness. Thus, surrendering onto the Supreme Lord does not entail giving up the method of rationally comprehending reality. Rather, one merges into the ocean of rational, logical comprehension. The Supreme Lord is the perfection of all sciences and all forms of knowledge. And only envious and trivial minds would deny this obvious fact. So, continuing from there, obeisances unto you who are time itself. So, these are some very beautiful prayers that should be recited, and we gain so much from it. Now, because of these prayers, Kaliya Nag considered his wives to be his guru. They became his spiritual masters because they were so pious and they were so devoted to Lord Krishna that their transcendental prayers became so priceless that he bowed down to his own wives and considered them to be his spiritual master. So they say, obeisances unto you who are time itself, the shelter of time, and the witness of time in all its phases. So they are saying to Krishna, you are time itself. Now, I'll continue this and then I'll talk about a little bit about time. You are the universe and also its separate observer. You are its creator and also the totality of all its causes. Now, when it comes to that fact about Krishna being time itself, I've noticed because I was in Fiji and the time there seems to be very slow. I'm not quite sure why. And time here, it seems to stretch. And the time here in Sydney or in Australia, it's compressed. And I cannot understand why. They say we are all in Fiji time. Within 10 minutes, we are able to do so many things in 10 minutes. And within that 10 minutes in Australia, we are able to do like half of the things that we can do over there in Fiji Islands. And I'm not quite sure how to explain it even. But because Lord Krishna is time, he is actually able to arrange these things, which is beyond our understanding. It is a phenomena that we couldn't understand. I cannot understand that within 10 minutes I'm able to do so many things while I'm in Fiji, but I'm not able to do the exact same things over here. And so when I came to this country, I was getting a little frustrated because I thought, how could I not be able to complete this task within 10 minutes? It takes me 30 minutes and I could do this in 10 minutes back home. What is this phenomena? And I was actually getting annoyed and angry because I was actually angry because I couldn't fit in the things in this time. So I kind of discovered that time actually stretches and it expands in my experience. I mean, a lot of people will have their own opinions, but certainly it is Krishna. Krishna is time. He's actually beyond time. He's the master of time, so time doesn't affect him. It's a very interesting concept to come across. Anyway, so continuing from there, Srila Prabhupada's purport, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing in different incarnations, can never be limited by time. Okay, so here's Srila Prabhupada's comment, that although appearing in different incarnations, he can never be limited by time. Yeah, Krishna is not limited by time. He's not affected by time at all. Since he is time himself, the shelter of time and the witness of time in all its phases. So that is another interesting thing about time. And here is another wonderful prayer continuing. Bhuta Matendriya Prana Mano Buddhi Ashayat Mane Tri Gune Bhi Manena Gura Swatmanu Bhutaye Namo Nantaya Shukshmaya Kutastaya Vipashchite Nana Vadanurodhaya Vachya Vachaka Shaktaye. Now that means obeisances unto you who are the ultimate soul of the physical elements, of the subtle basis of perception, of the senses, of the vital air, of life and of the mind, intelligence and consciousness. By your arrangement, the infinitesimal spirit souls falsely identify with the three modes of material nature, and their perception of their own true self thus becomes clouded. We offer our obeisances unto you, the unlimited Supreme Lord, the Supreme Subtle One, the omniscient, the supremely subtle one, the omniscient personality of Godhead, who are always fixed in unchanging transcendence, who sanction the opposing views of different philosophies, and who are the power upholding expressed ideas and the words that express them. So these are the shlokas that we are going to be covering for today. I'm going to go back to the Krishna book, so if you can give me a few seconds, and I will see if I can find some interesting stories that we missed out in the beginning that I wanted to share with you directly from the Krishna book. So these are very beautiful prayers. So it says here that the wives of the serpent, known as the Nagapatnis, saw that their husband had been subdued by Lord's kicking, and he was almost at the point of death. He was almost at the point of death, and due to bearing the heavy burden of the Lord, within whose abdomen the whole universe remains. So the description in the Krishna book is actually quite beautiful. Kaliya's wives prepared to worship the Lord. And this is some small facts that I thought I'd in addition, when they wanted to pray to Lord Krishna, and in their haste, their clothes, hair, ornaments became disarrayed, and they also surrendered to the Supreme Lord and began to pray. They appeared before him, put forth their offspring, and anxiously offered respectful obeisances, falling down on the bank of the Yamuna. The Nagapatnis knew that Krishna is the shelter of all surrendered souls, and they desired to release their husband from the impending danger by pleasing the Lord with their prayers. Just another point to note, because when in Vrindavan Dham, when Krishna was dancing, he was dancing alone. At Goloka Vrindavan, he was dancing with the gopis. Another thing that he did, which I remember from a class that was given to me by Bir Krishna Maharaj Gurudev, he was saying something about that in Goloka Vrindavan, when this Kaliya Nag's pastime was occurring, Krishna decided to teach Kaliya Nag a lesson. He wasn't so heavy on Kaliya Nag as he was in Vrindavan. And he actually got together the blouses of his wives, Nagapatnis, and stringed them together and put it through the nose of the mouth of Kaliya Nag, and rode him and made it like those stirrups that you have in a horse. So he put those pieces of the Nagapatnis, and he stringed it and put it around the mouth of Kaliya Nag and rode him like a horse. Not only that, he allowed the Gopas and Gopis to have a chance to ride Kaliya Nag, the serpent, like a horse. So that was a very interesting twist to the story, because that didn't happen in actual Vrindavan. And let me see what other things. While it was saying that while Krishna was dancing on the snakes' hoods, he who is the original artist of all fine arts, such as dancing, began to dance upon the hoods of the serpent, although they were moving to and fro. Upon seeing this, the denizens of upper planets, what did they do? They showered flowers and they beat their drums, and they played different types of flutes and sang different uh, prayers and songs. And in this way, all denizens of the heaven, such as the Gandharvas, Siddhas, and demigods, became very much pleased. And this is while Krishna was dancing on the hoods, he tried to push him down with some of the other hoods. And Kaliya had about, like, as you know, hundreds, thousands, so thousand. So Krishna could control all of them. And he just dashed Kaliya with his lotus feet. And so obviously he couldn't bear it, and he was vomiting blood. Let me go back. Yes, he was in there for 2 hours. Before dancing, he was in the coil for 2 hours. And the whole time Balram was smiling, and very much so. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan came out of the village to see Krishna, and the assembly consisted of children, old men, women, animals, and all living entities. They knew that Krishna was their only means of sustenance. While this was happening, Balram, who is the master of all knowledge, yes, Balram is the original spiritual master, and he is the master of all knowledge. So if you are desiring knowledge, take shelter with Lord Balram. He will give you the intelligence. If you are in a bit of a mess or in a bit of a situation and you need to get out of it, or you need a way to come out of it, take shelter with Lord Balram. He will give you the strength and the knowledge to deal with the messy situation, to deal with any situation. He is the original spiritual master. So when we chant the Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the Rama refers to Lord Balram and is begging for Lord Balram's mercy. And Lord Balram is so kind in the form of Lord Nityananda that he is actually more merciful than Lord Gauranga, than Lord Chaitanya. He delivered Jagai and Madai, who had done such atrocious things, not worth mentioning. But he had the kindest of hearts and the most mercy, that he was able to forgive them. And not only forgive them, he delivered them. So there is no end to Lord Nityananda's mercy. There is no end to Lord Balram's mercy. So anyone who wants that knowledge, that mercy, take shelter with Lord Balram. So the cowherd men, including Maharaj Nanda, became anxious out of fear. At that same time, they were informed that Krishna had gone to the pasturing ground without his elder brother Balram. So as soon as Nanda and Yashoda and the cowherd men heard this news, they became even more anxious. Out of their great affection for Krishna, being unaware of the extent of his potencies, they became overwhelmed with grief and anxiety, because they had nothing dearer than Krishna, because they had dedicated their lives, everything, property, affection, mind, activities, to Krishna. Because of their great attachment for Krishna, they thought, today Krishna is going to be vanquished. And anyway, Balram, who was the master of all knowledge, stood there simply smiling. He knew that how powerful his brother is. He knew how powerful his younger brother was, and that there was no cause for anxiety. And when Krishna was fighting with ordinary serpent, that there was no cause of anxiety when Krishna fights with an ordinary serpent of the material world. Actually, Kaliya Nag is an ordinary serpent of the material world. For Krishna, it's nothing, because Krishna is never affected by the laws of material nature. So he knew how powerful his younger brother was. On the other hand, the residents of Vrindavan, they didn't know that. Being disturbed, they began to search out Krishna by following the impressions of his footprints. And what his footprints are. So these are some other details that I hadn't mentioned in the introduction. So I'm sort of expanding on it. So finally, the footprints marked with a flag, bow, and conch shell. So his footprints has those marks. So they were able to trace that footprint is Lord Krishna's by the marks, the flag, the bow, and the conch shell. The inhabitants of Vrindavan arrived at the riverbank, and they saw that all the cows and boys were weeping to behold Krishna enwrapped in the coils of the black serpent. Then they became still overwhelmed with grief, while Balram was smiling the whole time. So all inhabitants of Rajbhumi emerged into the ocean of grief because they thought that Krishna was finished. And although the residents of Vrindavan didn't know much about Krishna, their love for him was beyond comparison. As soon as they saw that Krishna was in the river Yamuna, enveloped by the serpent Kaliya, and that all boys and cows were lamenting, they simply began to think of Krishna's friendship, his smiling face, his sweet words, and his dealings with them. Thinking of all this and seeing that Krishna is now within the clutches of Kaliya, they at once felt that three worlds had become vacant. So you can just imagine how you would feel if you saw Krishna in that situation, the most beloved person. I had that opportunity in a bit of a dream, and I was totally panicking, absolutely panicking, to see that Krishna had jumped in the lake. I was screaming for him to come out of there. But that's by the mercy of Lord Krishna that we are able to get these dreams. And I pray to Lord Krishna that I get those dreams, more of those dreams, to see him. Anyway, I will end my class here. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to go till 9, but anyway, thank you for listening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev, and these beautiful, wonderful pastimes of the wives of Kalyanag. I will see you tomorrow with the rest of the prayers for the Nagpatnis. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.